right. We probably ought to throw it open to questions, I think, because we haven't been going for that long, but it is now 8:30, so...
Yes. And we've also got a good segue here, because we've just pointed out the critical thinking is important, asking questions is important, and here we are, we're going to open up the floor to questions from you people who can argue with us. I dare you to see that happen in church.
Could we have the house lights up so we can... And now there are 2 microphones at the foot of each aisle, so we get through many more questions if people will come out and stand by the microphone, by either of the 2 microphones.
Yes, line up here. Then.
So if you could line up in front of the microphones, behind the microphones.
Sorry to ask a contentious question after the idiots we've
had.
I'm sorry to ask a contentious question, but I feel that I have to. I was at the amazing meeting in London, and you were asked what we should do when religious nutcases don't just want to argue, but issue death threats, and you said we should all then join in, republish whatever they were issuing death threats about. Now, I'm sorry, but I then found out that when there were the cartoon riots and that we had lynch mobs on the streets, and my fellow students at Cambridge were actually being investigated by Scotland Yard, you didn't, in fact, republish the Muhammad cartoons. I was just wondering if you could explain. I'm sorry to ask a contentious question, but it's important. Well, why then, you said that we should all republish the criticism that was drawing the threat, but you didn't in that case. I was wondering if you could explain that.
The problem with the Muslim cartoons, the Danish cartoons that outrage people, was that we've actually got 2 issues here. And one is, do we need to respect religious beliefs? And there, I think the answer is an unambiguous no. We don't have to. We should openly criticize all religious beliefs. But then there's the other question, which is, here you've got a Muslim minority that's often very poor, is being oppressed, doesn't have the same advantages as the Christian majority. So there's also the issue of trying to defend their rights as human beings. So it's a clear distinction between, do you protect human beings? And I say, yes, you always do. Do you protect religious beliefs? And I say, no, you don't. And it was just a case that made that very difficult. I now feel that, yeah, we should openly publish criticisms of Islam, even if it does outrage the mobs. The fault for the outrage is not ours. That what we have to do is, as I said at TAM, the thing you do there is you point to the people who are rioting, who are killing people, who are breaking windows and injuring other people, and you place the blame squarely on them as individuals.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for coming tonight. The lady earlier mentioned how language and accent, and I was 20 when I changed my accent to become an atheist. But the book that actually sort of brought that change to me was a novel by Chinua Achebe called Things Fall Apart. Now, what book would you suggest to people who are, in search of, more intelligent answers to sort of get hold of and read and sort of help themselves to, to other than religion? Because God delusion would be one, I guess.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Next May, PZ's book is to be published. What's the title?
Oh, we're fighting over the title.
Oh, okay. So
it'll be a surprise. Just look for my name, big letters, PZ. Yeah.
So obviously that would be one excellent suggestion. As for any other suggestions, I think modesty forbids, really.
Where would you like to see the atheist movement in about, say, 70 years? And where do you think it actually might be?
Where would I like it to... Well, I've actually written about my imagination for the future, and I was actually in a documentary that you may have seen, Expelled. Has anybody seen this?
They've gone bankrupt.
Yes, hooray. That was the question they asked me. What do I think will happen? And what I said was that my ideal world is one where you're free to believe in religion if you want, that people will practice it still as a hobby. And in that movie, I compared it to knitting, which was a huge mistake because knitters got very mad at me. And they and that really the ideal future for us, what I would aspire to see is that in 70 years, sure, that there will still be churches, there will still people be believing, there will be a majority of atheists, and there will be no condemnation if somebody wants to practice religion just like nowadays people practice poetry. Okay, that's perfectly reasonable. In that Expelled documentary, they quickly cut to shots of, what was it, Soviet Russia and goose-stepping soldiers.
Yeah, Nazi Germany.
Yeah, and they kind of imagine that, well, my vision of the future must be of all the true believers locked up in a cattle car or something. But no, that's exactly the opposite of what I want. It's a future of freedom where you can freely express things like atheism and still get elected president of the United States.
Hi. I wanted to ask you both, I see the news and it's kind of a battle, in my mind anyways, of religion versus atheism, and I see religion winning the battle one day and atheism winning the battle another day, and I just wanted both of your opinions. Is atheism winning, do you think?
Well, I get most encouraged when I look at the internet and places like Pharyngula. But the problem is, those are the places I look at. And when you do, what I seem to see is a great upsurge of rational opinion. And but of course, I don't go on the religious website, so I could be wrong. I think we're winning. I think it'll be a long, slow process. Certainly, in the broad sweep of history, we're certainly winning. If you compare us with earlier centuries, there are going to be setbacks. There are going to be temporary setbacks, but I think in the broad sweep of history, we are winning.